When a group of idiots get together and call themselves smart, it basically has the same relevance as a group of fat people who look at each other and say, we're skinny, 'cause it's all in how we feel, not how we look. So when the media calls what the Democrats did historic significance and reverence for the Constitution over the delivering of the Articles of Impeachment, the rest of America goes, ugh, are there any reruns of The Family Guy on? Wolf Blitzed tried so hard to convince us that what we were watching was of historic significance. And then we started listening to commentators from other cable news networks. They were saying the same thing. It's almost like they circulated the same talking points. No, not the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream propaganda media. They wouldn't do that. Would they?
As a student of American history, people are going to be studying this for a long time.
Just the ceremony of it, walking over, delivering the Articles of Impeachment.
The House clerk right now appears to still be holding on to the Articles of Impeachment, from what we can tell from the cameras right there.
Through the rotunda, through Statuary Hall, back to the House of Representatives.
And just thinking about the history that they're walking through.
This is history, Nia. This is history unfolding.
There's a sacramental quality to this. There's a ritual.
I'm so glad Chris used the word ritual, because that's the word that has been stuck in my head about this all day today. There is something almost religious to it.
And I think Pelosi's a real believer in this, about ritual.
She said he's been impeached forever. They can never erase that.
Yes, this was so historically significant that Nancy Pelosi had a hard time not smiling and her dentures falling out as she did the signing. And notice that she's using multiple pens. Why did she do that? So that she could hand out souvenirs after the signing. Because after all, this was such a joyous occasion. Hey, you want a pen that marks the impeachment of a president? Can you imagine if Republicans had done something like this to Barack Obama, and there were certainly plenty of grounds to impeach him on? Can you imagine if Paul Ryan had used a different pen for each letter of his name and then handed that pen to the people standing there? You had Mad Maxine Waters holding her hands up. Look, I got one too. I got one too. Look what came in my cereal box today. I mean, this is the so-called historic significance and decorum and appreciation that they have for the constitutional process. To which I simply respond, pfft. Now, it's interesting, too, that they have already exonerated Hunter Biden. Although, now today, we have new evidence. We have an opinion that the Trump administration acted illegally in withholding aid to Ukraine. They didn't hold it. Ukraine got their money. Remember, they didn't get their money under Joe Biden.
I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a got fired.
The investigator was investigating the very corporation that Joe Biden's son worked for. But of course, we're being told by Jerry the Nads Nadler and Adam Schiff for brains, there's no there. They have gone ahead and exonerated, and there's no reason for the Senate, should they decide to call additional witnesses, which of course, you know the Democrats have more witnesses they want the Republicans to call. There will be no need, though, to call Joe Biden or Hunter Biden. After all, that would be like if your store was being robbed, you would not only want the robber investigated, you would want the two kids across the street who maybe when they came in your store they looked a little shifty, but they've never actually taken anything. Go ahead and investigate them too. That was the type of comparisons Jerry the Nads Nadler was saying, and why there's no need to investigate Joe Biden or his son Hunter. Well, I beg to differ. If you're going to charge the president with this absurdity that to do a political hit job on his opponent, he wanted Ukraine to do him a favor and launch an investigation, be very public about it, or they wouldn't get their aid. If the president's defense is no, now wait a minute, they got their aid. What I did ask the Ukraine president to do was investigate corruption in his country, even if it involved Americans. Now that's the president's defense line. Okay. Then yes, it becomes very needful and yes, credible that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden be called to testify. Why? Because that is the direct answer to why President Trump said what he said, did what he did. So yes, the former vice president and his son, the future nothing, need to be held into account. They need to be grilled, not simply before the Senate. They need to be grilled before the world on live television as to what on earth a know-nothing dimwit kicked out of the Navy for drug use and drug dealing, how all of a sudden he got a multi-million-dollar gig in a field that by his own admission he knew nothing about.
When he said, "I hope you know what you're doing," what did he think you were doing?
Well, he read the press reports that I joined the board of Burisma, which was a Ukrainian natural gas company. And there's been a lot of misinformation about me, not about my dad. Nobody buys that, but it buys this idea that I was unqualified to be on the board.
What were your qualifications to be on the board of Burisma?
Well, I was vice chairman of the board of Amtrak for 5 years. I was the chairman of the board of the UN World Food Program. I was a lawyer for Boies Schiller Flexner, one of the most prestigious law firms in the world.
You didn't have any extensive knowledge about natural gas or Ukraine itself, though.
No, but I think that I had as much knowledge as anybody else that was on the board.
You were paid $50,000 a month for your position?
Look, I'm a private citizen. One thing that I don't have to do is sit here and open my kimono as it relates to how much money I make or did or didn't. But it's all been reported.
If your last name wasn't Biden, do you think you would have been asked to be on the board of Burisma?
I don't know. Probably not.
It's all very relevant, and it goes straight to the heart of the president's defense. Well, these next few days of this trial and the circus continuing should prove to be very interesting. So don't forget, as you head into the polls this November, hashtag Democrats gone. These people can't be trusted on any level with anything, and they certainly have no business ruling or governing. That said, give us a thumbs up, give us a great big like, continue to share these videos, and we've got more rants to come.